These people are the people that the campaign committee members gave.
Morning, Dave.
These people right here.
Yeah.
And then also.
Good morning.
Good, how are you? So this is a complete list of all those names, plus what I gave you at that person. Okay? So there's a long list.
So we have.
I thought you wanted to do all that tonight.
Yeah.
So you just have her look
Yeah,
at
sure.
that.
Should I just say, I'm on the phone.
Put that on.
And add that on to this.
And you go, these are people. Yeah.
Please don't leave.
I know.
Okay. Yeah.
So we just add to this.
Yes, yes. Through that too and see
Yeah.
what she thinks too, okay?
Yeah, we're-
But there's 3 copies.
Okay.
Okay?
I think
That'll
that's.
be a fun day.
Hopefully I'm the only person that's five. That was so
John for road trip yesterday.
Yeah. Right, barely. Yeah.
Rain on
We went back.
We got minutes ago. Okay, good morning, everybody. We'll call the September 17th regular Board of Trustees meeting to order. Ms. Henning, we do have a quorum.
Yes.
Mrs. or Trustee Anderson agreed to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody could rise.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess now I should say we do have a quorum, so we'll keep an order of the actual agenda. Additions and deletions to the agenda for Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. Any additions or deletions?
Chairman,
Yes.
I would like to add under C, the agenda to approve the letter that will be sent to the news
Under new business?
under new business.
I second that.
Excellent. It's been moved and seconded to approve the letter sent to the news record. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Okay, motion carries. All right, moving on to the actual approval of the agenda now for Wednesday, September 17th with that addition.
I move to approve the consent agenda or the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Get those
Second.
words out.
All right, it's been moved by Trustee Anderson and seconded by Trustee Williams to approve the amended agenda for the regular GCCD Board of Trustees meeting held today, Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right. Approval of the consent agenda for today, September 17th.
So moved.
Excellent.
Second.
All right. It is moved by Trustee Smith and seconded by Trustee Wasserberger, excuse me, to approve the consent agenda for the Board of Trustees meeting held today, September 17th, 2025. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right. For the good of the district, good news from the trustees. What good news do we have from the trustees? Anybody?
Well, I had a lovely time at the soccer game on whatever Friday that was. Last week, I think,
Excellent.
the week before, and was pleased to discover that it was staff and student appreciation day, and there were food trucks and ice cream and, it was all free.
I love that.
It was awesome.
All right. Any other good news? Yes.
Well, I'll just share that I just celebrated my 40th year at Campbell County Hospital.
Congratulations. I would add my daughter Reese just made her 1,000th dig, which is a pretty big milestone for a kid. any athlete, whether it's assist or digs or kills on the volleyball team. So she's a 3-year starter, all state, battled back from an ACL. So we were very proud. That happened on Saturday. Fortunately, we lost to Laramie, but bittersweet. Any other good news?
I think that's where they had.
All right. Good news from the college, President Oberlander.
Chair McGrath, trustees and guests, we are thrilled today to have some visitors to tell you about some of the exciting things that have happened over the summer, but also some of the events and activities that are happening here. So we want to do some celebrating. So Stacy Hellwig is here to talk about all the hard work that happened this summer and just do some recognitions. And so Stacy, the floor is yours.
Do I have to talk into this?
You
Yes,
do.
please. It'll catch it pretty good.
Okay, perfect. So good morning, trustees. What a beautiful fall morning. Fall's definitely moving right in. Is that working now?
Yep.
All right. So my name's Stacy Helwig. I'm the professional advisor for career and technical education. And I'm actually here on behalf and kind of helping our interim director of recruitment and retention, Christian Martinez. He can't be here with us today, but him and I have compiled some good news that we thought would be great to share with you all today. My apologies if I'm primarily going to be reading off of this, but so in the spring of 2024, we enhanced our registration days. We had 3 registration days with a total of 14 students in attendance. In the spring of 2025, we took a different approach and we did a walk-in events instead of scheduled structured agendas. Over the span of 2 days, from 14 the previous year, we saw growth and had 77 students in total walk in. A total of 51 turned out to be new students out of that 77. The rest were past students or concurrent students. That's a 63 student growth compared to last year. And that was just from playing around with having some of the ideas of just having them walk in. And that could not have been done without staff and faculty. The staff and faculty presence was outstanding. Over the summer, staff and faculty collaborated on recruitment and community events, which included One Stop Wednesday events. Overall, 63 students attended those. About 45 of those students specifically were there to get registered for classes. 18 of those were for financial aid, placement testing, or to meet about concurrent and dual. Thank you to everyone, staff, faculty, cabinet members as well, who attended downtown Thursday nights in the county fair. We had a lot of fantastic questions and feedback. We were able to discuss things about Area 59, things that they were doing in the community. A lot of non-credited questions, our CDL program, all of that, just growth. It was really wonderful to be able to be present in the community and field those questions. So in addition to those planned events, so the reason why Christian is not here right now is he's actually doing the Wyoming Admissions Officer Fair, which is our Wyoming college fairs. So he'll be traveling for 3 weeks with strong Gillette GCCD presence in all high schools across Wyoming, which is really wonderful. We've done things such as attend the state FFA in Cheyenne, setting up a table and talking to seniors and juniors. We've talked to students at Skills USA in Casper as well. Throughout the summer, we've had communications with over 350 students, and they have since applied roughly about that number. Finalized numbers are still coming in. We've communicated with 285 students, and we sent them all the convocation and new student orientation information. And that's something that's not been done previously. We actually reached out to them via text to make sure that we were meeting those needs of just communicating with something that's more normalized now, which is implementing that text. But so what I've presented today is just a brief overview of our achievements as an institution. This past summer, leading into convocation, was marked by collaboration and hard work, all aimed to ensure the success of students at Gillette College. This collaboration involved not just one department, but the entire college. Departments such as facilities, human resources, cabinet members, advisors, the library, faculty, registrars, students' access and success came together for a common goal to assist every student and community member who walks in through our doors. So thank you. That's all.
Any? Excellent report. Thank you.
Okay.
Just in case anybody has any questions for Selma? None. You get off easy, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Chair McGrath, trustees, I also want to recognize a trustee, and I don't want to say her last name right. Waldman, I wanted to say Walderman, but it's Waldman. Trustee is our director of student activities. And last meeting, we gave you a calendar of all the student activities happening on campus. Today is Constitution Day, so she's going to talk a little bit about that, but also the various activities that have happened so far on campus this semester. Trustee.
Yeah. So again, my name is Trustees Waldemar, or KJ. I'm the activities coordinator. And today, not today, but this year marks the beginning of my second year as activities coordinator on campus, which means I started the very first day of last year. So I got to see the entire academic year of 2024, 2025. So I've seen how our events have grown from last year to this year. And I will say, even though it's typical for us to have high attendance the first week or two of school, we've seen a huge increase in the numbers of students attending our events so far. So some events have seen attendance more than double. For example, our Welcome Week movie night that we hosted last year only brought in about 20 to 19 traditional age students, and they didn't stay for the entire event. This year, the same event that we hosted, another movie night, attracted around 45 students, and we had non-traditional students. We had them bring their families, which was the entire drive behind that event. So I was really, really excited. We've also had events like our DIY ice cream event. I only anticipated around 20 students, which was high to normal for a lot of our events in the Commons last year. This year, we had around 55 students attend, which made me a little nervous because I didn't plan for that many students to participate in our event. So we had to like stretch some of our materials, but I was so excited to see that participation and get the students used to seeing those events in that space. Today, our campus is proudly hosting the Constitution Day in compliance with federal expectations to help students engage with this important observance. The Financial Aid Office has generously provided Constitution booklets that I provide for all of you so that students can enjoy an educational, and then students can also enjoy an educational scavenger hunt. We've also got a photo booth and lots of other fun things going on in the Commons today if you want to stop by and check those things out after the meetings. We invite everyone to participate and celebrate in the founding of our nation's democracy. I'm also incredibly excited about what the rest of the year holds, especially with the strong early attendance numbers. However, the success is not only coming from me, it's also coming from our faculty and staff. They have done a wonderful job, especially our faculty, of encouraging students to attend. I even have faculty members that will bring their classes down early, release them early, incorporate it into their coursework, find ways to evaluate what was happening at the event or the instructions shared at the events and things like that. Our athletics have also been a great help. They are really encouraging student participation for all of our events and being a part of our campus community. And it's just been absolutely amazing to have them. I truly appreciate seeing faculty and staff not only support, but actively participate in our events. As long as I have supplies to support that, I'm so excited to see them being a part of and being just as excited and having just as much fun as our students. And then together we are creating a vibrant and connected campus community, and I am so proud to be a part of it. And I would love to answer any questions you guys have about our current or future events.
Questions for Tristan?
Just a compliment. That's awesome about engaging, the numbers speak for themselves of that. I don't know if the profile of our campus has really changed as far as age and students. But I think that is wonderful that the students are engaging as any other college environment. So that's awesome.
Anybody else? I would add, having a daughter that just went off to a different college, to the University of Wyoming, once she completed here, I think the involvement is a great thing. It gets them doing something instead of thinking about missing home. So, kudos to you and getting them involved and getting them working, because I think that's a big deal. Like that first couple of weeks, I'm sure for anybody's had one go is kind of hard. So anyway, thank you for all you do.
Thank you, guys.
Kirsty, thank you. Trustees, that's all we have for good news from the college. So much exciting things happen. So much exciting work across the college. And we're just so pleased with all the hard work our faculty and staff are doing this semester.
Perfect. Moving on to organizational reports. We'll start with President Oberlander.
Chair McGrath, trustees, thank you for the opportunity to give a report. I want to focus just on a few things during my report, but I want to start with Yesterday was the memory of the 8, and I had the honor and the privilege to go walk. It was the first year Debbie McClellan was not there, and she was certainly missed. And so Heidi walked that as well. So we were able to be part of such a phenomenal event. I was walking really, really fast and caught up with some folks that were about 5 to 6 blocks from finished who were walking pretty slow. So started a conversation. And the gentleman I spoke with was the dad of Josh Jones. And so what a privilege to be able to walk and hear the story of one of the fathers of the 8 cross-country members who lost their lives to a drunk driver on September 16th. Josh's dad, Mr. Jones, told me the story of the last time he and his son were together in early August of that year. And Josh's grandfather had just passed away. And Josh shared with his dad that if when he died, he wanted what he wanted done with his ashes. And so Josh's dad, what a blessing that was, that they were able to have that conversation and that they were able to share that time and that memory together. I think it's just a good reminder that we just never know what's going to happen. So make sure when you're saying goodbye to your loved ones, you hug them and you tell them you love them. So he also spoke last night. Robbie McClellan spoke. The Energy City Voices performed, did a phenomenal job. Our athletes were there, men's basketball, women's basketball. We had some volleyball players there, but they just did a phenomenal job helping with that event, and such a good lesson for them as well. So it'll be again next year on September 16th, same time, same place. So I issued a challenge for all of you to join that, and I walked the 5K. My goal is to always beat the Sean Brown city attorney back. He runs the 8 mile. I walked the 5K, but I've beat him back 3 years in a row now. So we're going to keep that streak alive. So anyway, it's just an honor and a privilege to be part of that event. And what a privilege it was to get to visit with Josh's dad last night. So we have taken the official census count. Of course, our numbers continue to grow because we have some concurrent enrollment continuing to be added, but we also have that second block of classes that start. But as of our census date, we were up nearly 4% compared to last year at the same time. Elementary education saw an increase of 45%. Secondary education saw an increase of 86%. Criminal justice associate of arts degree at a 66% increase. And we saw an overall return rate of 8.7% in our return of students from last year. So as of September 18th, our head count was 1,118. It's 145 students more than we saw last year. Our credit counts and our FTE counts are also up. So Roger Humphrey will certainly provide more in detail report the next time he gives his update to the board. So the other piece that you have in front of you, you have 2 other pieces. You have the view book. This is the first ever view book for Gillette Community College District to this level. And Maggie Longo, along with Christian Martinez and several other people, helped to develop this book. So when you heard Stacy earlier talking about the post-high school planning days that Christian is currently involved in, this is one of the pieces that goes along with him as advertisement for Gillette College, our academic programs, campus life. It's a beautiful piece. I just think it's phenomenal. Maggie did a great job. The covers, of course, are pronghorns, running pronghorns. Maggie designed that. She created that. So we're just proud of this, and we're proud of all that we have to offer here at Gillette College. So for your information, there's more on the table if you would like to take some. The other piece you have in front of you is we've created a Did You Know? And Ellie Hanning is working on some social media posts. There's a lot of false information circling around about Gillette College right now, and we wanted our advisory boards. We shared this with the advisory board last week, the foundation board, and now the trustees have this document. And so it just gives you some facts. Employees received the following increases. And so you see the percentage raises there. In fact, Gillette College has provided over $500,000 in increase in salary since we began our journey. So I think that's important. Our nursing program, the instructors bring a combined 132 years of experience to our students, and Lindsay is here today. So we're proud of the work they do. In 2024, 100% of our nurses went to work and they were employed upon graduation. We have so many people involved in our campus. 52 participate in the Adopt a athlete program that Jamie Howe organizes with our booster club. I think one of the other important pieces on here is that we keep hearing that our turnover rate is so high. It is not. It is 6.4%. We did some national work, and according to the College and University Professional Association, also known as CUPA for Human Resources, The normal turnover rate for our institution is about 16%. So far this year, we're at 6.14%. And our retention rate has not dropped below 97%. So we wanted you to be armed with these facts. We wanted you to be armed with this information. So when you are asked questions or when you're provided with some false document or false facts, you're armed with some actual data and information. So we are going to talk about the HLC or the mock candidacy review here later in the day. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have of me.
Questions for Dr. Oberlander? I would have one comment, especially regarding the dual and concurrent, and Mr. Wasserberger at some point will give us another, update, but I did have a conversation with Associate Superintendent, so if the board members in here that they understand. With them recently adding Spanish as now an accredited program that they can get credit for it, they do have to monitor. So if you get some high school kids trying to figure out, they're gonna have to monitor their credit load simply from the fact that if you get more than 50%, this is an HLC thing, if you get more than 50% of your credit for your degree, then that campus has to be certified and has to be under the college. So for instance, Thunder Basin is not under the college, it's under Campbell County School District or Campbell County High School. It's under, so when they get that degree, they would have to move more towards dual enrollment so that they actually come to class here. So they're just gonna, on the advising standpoint from both the high school and the college, look at their credit, what they're doing and what they're taking so that that doesn't become an issue. And then they have to choose between taking Spanish and calculus, so to speak, or Spanish and English. So it's not a rule by us. It's not a rule by the school districts. It's a rule by HLC and we merely have to abide by it. So not a huge deal, but is that fair?
Yep, correct. So if a student can earn 50% of their degree at an offsite location, we have to basically make that offsite location a branch location, which means we have to do all of the work with Title IX, clearing, all the federal compliance that's going to happen at that location as well. It has to be approved by the higher commission. So it's just now an advising piece. We have to do some advising to make sure those students don't earn 50% of their degree on offsite locations.
And the question was asked to me by a parent and then ultimately up the ladder, and it could very well come to you as another trustee. So I at least wanted you to be aware of the reasoning. Because we don't want anybody to do the dual and concurrent. We think the school district does a fantastic job.
It's an excellent partnership.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yes, ma'am.
So with that, President Oberlander, if I may ask, I know that they're in one of the positions that are open, Geneva's position that is open. How are we handling that since she was deeply involved in that process? Is there an interim person that's managing all that?
Chair McGrath, Trustee Wasserberger, great question. Yes, the entire enrollment team, including Stacy, including our advisors, have stepped into that role. And I believe Stacy or Kylie Dodson, our registrar, along with Brandy Martin, have gone to the high school to complete that registration. And so the team just steps in, as you heard Stacy mention, everybody just steps in to make sure those students are served.
Okay, great, thanks. I just wanted to make sure that
That's
our
great
students were
question.
taken care of and.
Good question.
I noticed the CDL does not have a position. Do we have anybody teaching CDL?
Chair McGrath or Chair McGrath, Trustee Williams, we do have a full-time director of the CDL program who teaches, and we just made an offer to a second instructor yesterday that
Okay.
helped. So
we've got
that program,
position filled.
oh yeah, that program continues. And I think on your fact sheet, we graduated now 35 students out of that program.
Any other questions?
I just, to your memory of the 8, Sunny and Jeannie, they do a great job. Roberts, they do a great job of putting this on. I think they're the lone strangers kind of, and they put hundreds and hundreds of hours into this. And the community really, really supports it. So I think we always need to mention them because of all the work and effort that they put in towards this member of the 8.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Gillette College Advisory Board report, Vice Chair Cameron Smith.
Awesome. Chair McGrath, trustees, thanks for the opportunity to give the advisory board report. Like you said, I'm Cameron Smith. I'm the vice chair filling in for our chair. Good to be here today. Since your last meeting, we've come back from our summer break. Typically take June and July off and come back in August. The meeting in August, I wasn't able to be there. It was midday. I don't have anything to report from that one other than we sponsored the staff and faculty luncheon and I heard it was well received. So our meeting last week, we received reports from President Overlander, similar to what you just got, and Vice President Spriggs. The one thing I want to highlight is the two subcommittees that we formed, the Future Workforce and Program Curriculum. Scott Durgan gave a report on the nuclear energy and how that is relevant to the college. And then the program curriculum, we plan to meet next Wednesday, so I don't have anything to report on that. Other than that, is a brief report. If anyone has any questions.
Any questions for Vice Chair Smith?
Chair McGrath, I would just say Scott gave a really good overview of the nuclear conversation that's happening from his perspective.
Yep.
It was just really enlightening. He talked about the whole supply chain of the nuclear industry. And I thought it was really good and something for us to consider because it would certainly impact some of our training here at Gillette College should we see some of those industries come to Campbell County.
Perhaps next month he could be prepared to give that same report, to us as trustees. I think it'd be beneficial. Excellent. Anything else for Vice Chair Smith? Thank you for coming. I know you gotta take off.
Thank you.
Oh, boss. Hold on, don't leave yet.
Sorry, I seem to have a lot of thoughts today. Well, it kind of went into Stacy's presentation and then on the viewing that we saw, is like two students that had their signs held up that they wanted to be teachers. So first of all, I guess it's more of just a comment. It's great that our elementary education went up by 45%. I know that the school district, didn't they have like 70 vacancies for faculty position? It was a very large number. Anyway, to start this, to start the school year. So being that the school district is part of our advisory board, I was just wondering if there's any current conversations of how we can help bridge that need for our community and mostly for our classrooms or.
Yeah. So Superintendent Ayers is part of our group. He hasn't been there recently. I know we had a similar conversation about this time last year about it, but that was last year.
Yeah.
It becomes. Yeah.
And Chair McGrath, I can certainly add to Trustee Wasserberg's question. So Dr. Spriggs and myself worked last fall to begin a conversation with Dr. Ayers and the associate superintendents, talking about how can we offer the education program in a way that would serve paraprofessionals. And so there was a lot of work done. There was Ashley, who is one of our advisors, did all of the transfer workup. So if you take these classes at Gillette College, it'll transfer to Blanket State and all of our other transfer partners. Put that package together with scholarship opportunities, held a focus group, and we had some interest in it, but we now have a new education faculty member who will continue to develop that and continue to work with the school district to ensure that those paraprofessionals have that information. So we really would like to help them continue their education.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day. Moving on, Gillette College Foundation report, Executive Director, Mrs. Gross.
Thank you, Chair McGrath and trustees. First of all, I'd like to just piggyback on what President Oberlander just said. Last year also, we received a very nice grant from the Albogan Foundation in support of that very program, which we received matching funds for. So that fund is accumulating earnings, and so that'll provide even more scholarship opportunities for those paraprofessionals that are interested in continuing their education, because it is definitely a need to provide more teachers in the whole state of Wyoming. Just a couple of things. I'll be very brief. First of all, you all have a draft of our case for support for the NZ campaign. So please look through that. If you have any comments or feedback, please let me know. This is just kind of our first work in progress on this. And a big thank you to Maggie. She did a tremendous amount of work on this. So thank you, Maggie. We've got a couple of things yet to add. We're going to get a picture of our campaign executive committee on the 29th of this month. So we'll be able to add that and also get a headshot of Robbie McClelland, who is our campaign chair. So the campaign executive committee met for the first time on the 25th of last month. We had a really good meeting. We looked at some prospect lists that I pulled, and we got some good feedback from all of the members there. So we'll have our next meeting on the 29th of this month, and we're going to go through those lists one more time and then do some prioritizing and put together a more specific plan for cultivation of those prospects that we have out there. So I think the work is going very, very well. We got some new, this fiscal year, we purchased a new software package. It's called Kindsight, and it's giving us a lot of really great information that we can use. So it's does a lot of wealth screening, and it helps us with our prospect research. I also wanted to share with you some good news as far as grants that the foundation has recently received. We recently received $16,000 from the Gene Haas Foundation in support of our machine tool technology program. We've been receiving funding from that foundation for quite a few years now. So Tony does a great job over there with that program. We also received a very nice bequest for our nursing program, and we received those funds last week, I believe, and that was about $717,000. So those funds were put in the nursing program fund, and we'll be able to do additional scholarships out of that and serve more program needs with those monies. And then also, very interestingly enough, I was called a couple of weeks ago by one of our other funding partners who typically provides funding for us every year. And this director said to me that we do such a great job here at Gillette College. He invited us to submit an additional grant application. We've already been funded once this year, but he invited us to submit another grant application, which I did, and we should know about that very shortly. I think they're having their board meeting this week. So we'll find out about that. And so I anticipate that we'll receive that funding, which will be a very nice gift for the college as well. I also submitted another grant request to a local foundation in the amount of $50,000. And I should hear on that very soon. If we receive both of these recent requests I've submitted, we have then officially used up all of the state matching funds that we were given last year. So we had until April 1 of next year to use it. So big sigh of relief that that funding is all allocated. So also wanted to give you some great numbers from our golf tournament this year. We raised more money than we ever have. We raffled off a golf cart, which was very, very lucrative for us. I think that in itself raised over $11,000 profit after we paid for the golf cart itself. So this year, our revenue from the golf tournament was over 71,000. Our expenses were close to 16,000. So our net from the golf tournament this year was almost $56,000. So we were very pleased by that. And so it's going to be hard to top that next year, but we'll try to come up with something else really neat to raffle off. And then just a couple other upcoming events that you'll all be receiving invitations to. We will host our annual scholarship dinner here at the Tech Center on November 20th. And then we're also busy planning another alumni mixer. And we're going to combine tech and nursing together this time. And we're looking at possibly doing that at the beginning of December and making it more of a holiday theme. So we'll be planning that. I'm also very busily working on audit prep and finishing up. We had some issues with our conversion over to our new software this year, But I'm very happy to report that as of the end of last week, we finally had at least the March 31 balances loaded. Been working very hard on that this week. And so I anticipate by the end of this week or early next week, at least we can run financials through June 30th. So it's been a long time coming, but the light is at the end of the tunnel. And then the final thing I wanted to leave with you, President Overlander mentioned Scott Durgan's presentation on nuclear energy. So I just wanted to remind everybody that tomorrow night here at the college will be another nuclear energy information session from 6 until 8. And there's some really great panelists that are going to be here to speak. And it'll be moderated by the head of the DEQ here in Wyoming. So lots more of great information coming out, which I think is good for our community. And with that, I would stand for any questions.
I would only make one comment. The negative to the golf tournament is I did not win the golf cart. Somebody else did. But,
Debbie Zolnowski, the
Yes.
manager of Holiday Inn
Oh, yeah.
Express.
Rodeo kids need golf carts too, just so you know.
I'm not arguing, but golfers need golf carts too. Questions for Ms. Gross? Trustee Anderson.
We do not have the campaign. Chair McGrath, you do not have the capital, the case for support. We will email that out to you. I apologize. I
Oh,
thought Heidi
okay.
was bringing it. And I will email it to you. So you have a copy. And just to add to Heidi's, I have reviewed that with Mrs. Enzi. And then I met with the Enzi children yesterday to review that document. So
Okay.
it's a beautiful document. And so my apologies, that we just miscommunicated. So
Okay.
we'll email that out to you. So you have it.
Excellent. Anything else on that? Good. Any other questions for Executive Director Gross?
Thanks.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Thank you.
Moving on to the Faculty Senate Report, President Jared Vance.
Chair McGrath, trustees, good afternoon.
Hello.
I got a short little report and then we'll go from there. Spring, before we left, we voted for faculty senate members. Nothing changed there. So faculty senate stands as it was. I'm serving as president, Michael Carver as vice president, Lisa as secretary, Heather Green at large, and then Gwen is our nursing rep from nursing department. We've met twice already this semester, once as faculty all faculty meeting and once with cabinet. And went over focus areas from last spring that we're carrying over to this fall and anything else that needs to be worked on this fall. Those areas are, what the future of the bookstore looks like, what the students need, what faculty input on that would look like. OER, open educational resources. Faculty input on load equity is one of our topics. Creating a policy for how we set up committees, or procedure, not a policy, sorry, procedure. To make sure that our faculty is not getting put on committees when they're already doing other stuff, and making sure we're in communication with deans and things like that to make sure we're putting people on the right place. Reinvigorating the centers for teaching and learning excellence. That's kind of needed some more support. And so we're looking at that, what we can do to offer faculty more opportunity for professional growth and things like that through that center. And yeah, that kind of covers our beginning focus areas for the beginning of the fall. There's some changes we made the way we do some small operations in faculty senate. So after we have a meeting, we go ahead and send those meeting minutes out as soon as the Senate is, or our secretary has put them together and cleaned them up. And we vote on them right away so they can get put out to faculty sooner than later. To help with communication and making sure people know what's going on. We also brought that up to district council and try the same thing as district council. So there's not such a gap between when we meet, when the minutes are approved and when faculty gets those. Or staff, faculty and everybody. So some of the changes we made and it seems to help with communication. So people know what's going on sooner than later. And if I forget to mention something, it's in the notes that they can see. So. But that's about all I have for my report for this fall. So if we have any questions.
Questions for Mr. Vance?
How many faculty members do you get to a meeting? Do you guys have a meeting? Does most of the faculty show up?
No, and that's, so I guess I'm going on 5 years now. So I was here right at the end. We were still NWCCD. We didn't have a ton of faculty show up then. It was set up different then. So depending on class schedule and stuff now, but it depends on the meeting, but we don't see the majority of faculty show up to those meetings currently. That's one of my own personal goals as faculty senate is to go around, meet with faculty and see if I can get a little bit more involvement in those meetings. So.
Excellent.
When do you meet? You meet at noon or evening or?
So we have our common hours set up on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 11:30 and 1. Ours is typically, I want to say, the third Tuesday of every month during that common hour. So the goal is to try to get a little bit more people there and get some more input and talk between faculty. So, but
Excellent.
Thank you for all you're doing with Faculty Senate. It's nice to see the group active and doing things, and I wish you well in revitalizing that Center for Teaching and Learning Excellence. That's a position.
I echo that. I appreciate what you're doing from that perspective and the voice that you guys have. We certainly take it serious and want to listen to that. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
have a good afternoon.
All right, Student Senate Report, President Tiffany Namarato. Did I say that right? Namarato. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman, Trustees, and Dr. Oberlander. I'll be reading off. I'm not a pro yet, so I'll be reading off of my speech I have. Okay, so my name is Tiffany Namarato, and I'm honored to be here today with you guys as a Student Senate President. I'm currently a sophomore here at Gillette College, and I'm studying on a pre-med track. I'm a proud member of the women's soccer team, and I'm a first-generation college student. Being able to represent our student body in this role is both humbling and exciting, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share a few updates with you today. This year, the Student Senate launched a new mentorship initiative that pairs our members with cabinet leaders. I'm proud to share that the majority of our team has already completed their initial meetings. It has been an incredibly valuable experience, giving us guidance and perspective from individuals we deeply respect and admire. We're looking forward to continuing to build on those relationships throughout the year. Last month, 8 of our student club leaders attended the first of many scheduled General Assemblies, where they had the opportunity to collaborate and strengthen their advocacy skills. That energy has carried over into campus life, and we're seeing strong growth and participation in student organizations like the Diesel Club, Creative Writing Club, Science Association, Skills USA, and Active Minds. We are also continuing the tradition of the class gift. Our team is in the process of finalizing a proposal for the 2024-2025 class gift, which we plan to present to Cabinet once it's complete. We're excited to leave behind something meaningful that reflects the values and vision of this year's student body. Before I close, I would like to thank the board and president for your commitment to operating the college through a participatory governance model. Not only did I have the opportunity to present updates to the advisory board last week, but yesterday I participated in my very first district council meeting. It was neat to see representatives from all employee groups, as well as myself representing the students, to come together at one table to discuss college matters. It was such a new and educational experience for me, and I know that being part of this throughout the year will give me knowledge and perspective that I'll carry with me well into the future. I'm truly excited for the opportunities this will bring. Thank you again for allowing me the chance to speak with you today. And I'm open to any questions.
I would start with, first off, well done, especially being a first generation student. That's pretty amazing. Congratulations. That sets the bar for the rest of your family and could be generational change. So well done.
Thank you.
Thank you for also being willing to step into a role that's new to you, that's different. So that's not easy. But we talked about that at Student Senate dinner, which was very enjoyable. You guys did a great job with that. So any questions for Tiffany?
Well, I think it's really neat that you're a soccer player and you're also involved in the academics. I mean, you don't find that combination very often, where an athlete is involved with that other part. So that's gotta really be, I mean, you have time to sleep.
I struggled. I thought meeting was at 8 a.m. this morning. So thanks to Maggie, I was gonna be here at 8, but it's hard to keep track, but I'm getting used to it.
We all need a little help with that, time tracking, all that kind of stuff. Don't worry. As a reminder, Trustee Williams, our president last year, was an athlete as well.
Yeah, I know she was. That's 2 years in a row. So you're really setting a precedent.
That's right. Any other questions? Well done. Great report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, moving on to Veteran Services and Cultural Working Group updates. Mr. Brian Yeager. How are you today?
Well, Chair McGrath, members of the board, campus administrators, colleagues in the room, thanks. I'm well today. At about 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon, I got a reminder on my iPhone. Today is my anniversary. That's the reason we set those. So your report took a back seat and we get to take this walk today organically, which is what I prefer anyway, because I had other responsibilities to fulfill at that time. So those moderately are scaled up on you guys quite a bit. I'd like to start just by saying thanks. Thanks for hearing us out, hearing about our endeavors, what it is that we're up to, and for the support that you continue to yield from your respective chairs. We have a goal to ensure success for military affiliated students at this campus and a greater community that surrounds Gillette, right? And that greater community can be defined in a lot of different ways. It might be a student, it might be a community member, but if we can find a way to help, we're certainly going to. Just kind of taking a walk through the numbers, very first is the easiest way to get through this journey with me. So in the spring 2025, we actually opened the ball with an excellent number. We opened the ball with 100% retention. All our students re-enrolled. They're really intent on moving forward. Life circumstances happened, right? And we did bump down to about 96% moving into last spring. In this fall, 4 of those percent that were missing have joined us again. We're at a 98% returning rate for our students that were with us last spring. That speaks volumes to the work that you do here at this campus. It is well and above what most of my colleagues in this work experience in other areas in the state. So let's talk about what that looks like when they complete, right? We have a completion rate and a graduation rate reflected up there. And that completion rate is for those individuals that they come here with goals that are identified outside of degree paths. Now that's going to happen with the type of demographic that I serve, right? Here's the bottom line. When Christy Rafferty walks through the door and I'm dealing with a retired command sergeant major of the state of Nebraska, and she spent 9 years as a DOD instructor and has 6 combat deployments, my first question is, why are you here, ma'am? Right? Well, Christy intended to raise lavender oil in Sundance, Wyoming. She and her husband bought 75 acres over there. She took the courses that she needed to get the knowledge that she was seeking in order to be successful. Their operation is up and running now, thanks to Jason Olson and some tremendous insight by some of our faculty there, right? And some innovation in association with that. And she's also still connected, right? I also serve people like Orrin Backlund, who spent 22 years in the Marine Corps as a reconnaissance Marine, and he now lives in Moorcroft with 3 children, right? This is a high level operator coming from my old wheelhouse. Orrin, what are you doing here? Brian, I do need some gen eds. And I'm telling you right now, as I exited the military, I don't have everything shaped up right here to handle this, but I do know I've got you guys for that. Yep, you sure do. Orrin's in classes this fall and he's doing well. And alternatively, we have brand new 19-year-olds in our program, right? And a very vast demographic that, how old do you guys think who's the oldest vet in our program? What's the oldest generation we've got right now? Take a shot. Vietnam. And every generation in between. The Persian Gulf War, the War on Terror, post 9/11 veterans, brand spanking new guardsmen, the Vietnam War, you name them, they're here at Gillette College. We're very blessed in that aspect. So they're utilizing a variation of benefits in order to attend here. And that variation of benefits is, as you see under the GI Bill utilization there, 55% of those veterans are using post 9/11 GI Bill, 5% are using the Montgomery GI Bill, The reserve Montgomery GI Bill stands at 8%, right? We have 15% now using veterans readiness and employment. And I think that's a tremendous number. When I first arrived here, that number was none, right? And we have 11% moving into the dependency lane. So that means veterans are bringing their families here. And it speaks volumes to your institution, to your faculty, to your administrators here at this campus. When Captain Rupert walks through my door and says, Brian, I'm going downrange. I'm going to be gone 14 months, but my daughter Sydney, who has high functioning autism, will be here. And I entrust you. I entrust you and your institution to look out for her well-being. And we've done that. Sydney, by the way, is doing great. She loves her courses. She's doing very well. She's actively engaged. Brandy Martin has a new best friend, whether she asked for it or not, right? Things are going well. And then we have 6% of veterans out there that are not federally supported. And those individuals are able to harness private scholarships at this institution in order to get them through where we need them to be, right? And that's very unique at a community college. You do not find that every day. That word has begun to spread, and we are connecting with more and more veterans that they need 2 classes to complete. They need 4 courses or 1 semester to complete. And we're cleaning house, folks. We're identifying that, and we're taking those objectives down for the people in our community. Our total enrollment today stands at 88 total military affiliated students. That is a 30% increase over last semester. In veteran services, now these are the services that trickle out on the backside of taking care of our students, right? In veteran services, we've filed 49 VA disability claims, 104 VA healthcare enrollments. So we filed them for members within our community, not just our students. 17 VA platform enrollments, and those enrollments are seen in the numbers that are reflected underneath there. Those are enrollments where we had to identify somebody to specifically address the needs at hand within our student population. So we've had several of those folks go to either rapid rehousing specialists, VOA moral injury counselors, post 9/11 caseworkers that are housed within the VA healthcare system. And we've had 2 VA veteran student peer mentors that now populate on our campus frequently, right? Out of that list that you're looking at there, folks, I only went looking for 2 of those folks. The rest of them found us. That's a really, really good sign, right? Now, there's another referral that I haven't listed up there, and I really invite you folks to track and keep on board as we chase this down. But we've got a student in our midst that we believe rates a Purple Heart. We're going to get that corrected. He left the United States Army with very significant injury. That injury was not ever appropriately addressed. It is being appropriately addressed within the healthcare system now. And when we uncovered his records, we said, hey, where is that at, sir? Where is that particular award? And his first response was, I didn't have time for it, right? He's got time now, and he's got a family that's on board. We've reached out to Congressman Harriet Hageman's office. We believe that's the most respectful place to handle that. And we also believe we'll give it the best attention to detail. And we'll keep you on board as that unfolds. Hopefully there's an award ceremony right here on Gillette campus. So rolling the page there, what are those guys and gals up to at this college, right? You'll see a couple of photos up there. What you see up above is the commander's cookout. What you see down below is the Overwatch project. And we'll get into that in just a second. I just want to put this number across the board with everybody in the room. That organization, that student organization that is literally less than 10% of your student population overall, completed 1,100 hours of community service within the campus and within the greater community at Gillette. And we'll get into some of that community service and what it looks like over the course of the next few slides. But frankly, during the reporting year of 2025, the American Legion Post 307 completed over 1,100 hours of community service. Opening the new year in July here, they're already over 220 hours. The Commander's Cookout, hosting Quilts of Valor, the Overwatch Project, and identifying and serving veterans with needs within our community. At the cookout up above, you'll see Rachel Lane delivering a Quilt of Valor there, right? How many of you guys know that Rachel is a Gold Star sister? She lost her brother in Iraq. All right. So these themes that accompany the blanket of security beneath which we sleep every night, that fabric is all around us at all times. Right. And we thought it was a very honorable place for her to present that. This year, we lost count of the number of in attendance at that event. We figure roughly over 200. That was kind of where we hit the brakes. And that's in the middle of the summer, folks, in the middle of the summer. Right. The Overwatch project, let's speak briefly about that. I want to say thank you to those faculty that attended that, those campus administrators that are among us that attended that. That is a suicide intervention platform, and they are nationally recognized. These are people that have been on platforms like the Cleared Hot podcast with millions of followers. And that young lady you see there is Lauren McGovern. She is their top shelf trainer. We had somewhere, I think Marcy Conley figured around 40 in the room, somewhere in there, with an opportunity to go one-on-one with an individual like that. Now, interestingly, on the backside of that training, good folks, there was an intervention with one of our students. An intervention plan took place right there. That student has a gun safe in his house. His sidearms are locked up, and his wife has the keys. He doesn't, and he's still attending. And the words that came directly from that trainer to me were, Brian, I do not think he'd be alive if it was not for you in this college. I drove home with the 40-yard stare, folks. I do believe Gillette College makes a positive impact within the community and within individual lives in the right aspects and with the right affect when it's properly harnessed, properly used. So moving on. If I can get my fingers to cooperate, I must be nervous about that dinner tonight, right? I've got a few notes from veterans that I'd like to share with you. So I had a gentleman reach out to me from the Newcastle community. It wasn't too long ago, and it was a text. And this is how it works in my realm. And he said, Brian, we've got a veteran in Gillette that needs help. He's coming out of Sioux Falls. He was in a motorcycle accident. It was significant. He has been hospitalized for 2.5 months. He's in a wheelchair. How do we get there? Is there anything you guys can do? And I said, brother, I don't know. That's the middle of the summer. Okay, but let me reach out to the guys. I'm sure there's something we can do. 2 texts and 2 phone calls later, the 307 officers responded. And on the left, you can see his house. On the right, you can see his house when we got done with it, right? And that was smack dab in the middle of the summer. I think we were there about 8 hours, full working party. And I can't tell you how pleasing it is to be able to reach out to students and community members that are so actively engaged, that are just so actively engaged. So I can give you a little note that came from Steve. And Steve reached out. Now, Steve reached out to me in text. Steve is the gentleman whose home you're looking at and said, Brian, Commander Luke, Vice Commander Tony, and crew, thank you for helping me come home again. I can't thank my fellow veterans in Gillette College enough for helping me stay independent and helping my family stay whole, right? Now I'll share another brief story with you. I received an anonymous Facebook message. Those are always great. You guys ever get those in the public eye, right? You sweat before you click on it, right? And it said, hey, Brian, I need your email. And I recognized immediately who it was. And I said, sure, here it is. I'd like to read an email that came to me from Carolyn Olson just last spring. Dear Brian, I sure appreciate the work you put into my VA admission. Since I got benefits, I was diagnosed with renal cell carcinoma. It was found accidentally while getting an MRI for back pain. The VA in Fort Meade went to work immediately, helping me schedule appointments with specialists covering the x-rays, labs, the 2 CTs, and the 2 MRIs. Surgeons removed the right kidney in October using the robotic Da Vinci in Casper's hospital. The tumor was as big as a tennis ball, and since then I've made a complete recovery. The VA is following up with future appointments to make sure the cancer has not spread. It turns out a lot of people know you guys over there. I just wanted you to know that your hard work makes a real difference for veterans like me. The VA facility in Fort Meade, on-site providers and CITC made the whole experience easier to navigate. They're really amazing, caring people, just like you. Please share as needed. If you take us to the next slide. Trustees, there's Steve and there's Carolyn. Those photos are just from last week. Steve completed a bingo run with his crew over in Newcastle. They raised right around $18,000 to address his medical needs. By the way, Post 307 cooked the smoked pork for that. That was another text at about 10 o'clock in the morning that we weren't banking on. And you can see Carolyn there standing in front of her latest quilt. We asked if we could get something similar, and she's in the works right now. She's in the works right now. The last thing I'd point out to the people around this table and to those of you that are in attendance here is, folks, you do not get this. You do not get this without good administrators, without trust from the people that you work for and with, without faculty that are on point and willing to work the issues as they arise. You don't get this without good culture that has survived and upheld by a strong and silent workforce here at Gillette College. Trustee, thank you, Trustee McGrath. Happy to stand for any question, but trustees, thank you for everything that you do to support us here.
I'm gonna start with this. That's to you and your whole, not just you, but your entire operation that you got going on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Trustee Williams.
We really reach out to like Upton and Sundance, Moorcroft, those areas.
We do. So it turns out I still live in Newcastle and I travel back and forth to do this work, right? And I'm well connected within the veteran community. And the American Legion, our parent student organization over here, we have tendrils completely across the state. Last year, during this very month, I did not have an opportunity to meet with trustees because I was meeting with the national commander right across that bridge. And that's a gentleman whose time is very tight, very difficult to get to. We're all connected, sir, within those communities.
Any other questions, comments?
Thank you. Thank you for all your service.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you for your
Happy
support.
anniversary. Enjoy your dinner.
Thanks very much. See if I get that right.
All right, moving on to old business. It's kind of a tough one to follow up from, but we'll move on to. That was, I think that was it.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to old business. Second final reading of policy 6000.3 degrees and certificates. Mr. Humphrey.
Thank you, Chair McGrath, trustees. We have received no changes and would recommend approval of second read of policy 6000.3 degrees and certifications in accordance to our Higher Learning Commission requirements.
I would.
I move to approve the final reading. 6000.3.
7.
It's been moved by trustee Smith and seconded by trustee Anderson to approve the second and final reading of policy 6000.3 degrees and certificate policy. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Excellent.
Thank you.
And moving on to new business. First reading of the revised policy 3000.7 public records. Dr. Oberlin.
Chair McGrath, trustees, the only change in this public records document is the change and update of removing Maggie Longo as our public records request and custodian public records, changing to Ellie Henning, who will now assume those roles. It is the only change to this policy.
Excellent.
I move to approve the first reading of revised policy 3000.7 public records on first reading.
All right, it is moved by trustee Anderson and seconded by trustee Williams to approve the first reading of policy 3000.7 public records. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Excellent. Mock candidacy visit report overview. Dr. Oberlander, Dr. Spriggs, and Roger Humphrey.
Chair McGrath, trustees, it's our pleasure to review an excellent report we received from consultants that came to Gillette College in August and performed a mock candidacy review. We did this purposefully so we could understand where our strengths were and where our opportunities are as we move forward into an important milestone at the end of October. What I do want to stress, I want to stress this very heavily, is this is not an HLC document. It says right on the front cover, not an HLC document. While the consultants that were here are peer reviewers, they were consultants. They were not connected and were not performing any work on behalf of the Higher Learning Commission. It's important that we make sure we always say that when we refer to this document. The Higher Learning Commission will, and they do review media, so we want to make sure we're clear about what this document is. So when we received this report, and what you'll see within the mock candidacy report is Roger Humphrey. Roger is not the AOL, the Accreditation Liaison Officer, but he did organize this visit as part of his responsibilities as the steering committee chair. So the Higher Learning Commission will only typically visit with two people from the college, the president and the accreditation liaison officer, and that person is Dr. Barry Spriggs. And so as we prepare for the official candidacy visit, we have been in touch with our chair of the 5 reviewers that will be coming to campus. Dr. Spriggs and I have met with him, and he will communicate directly with Dr. Spriggs. So just a clarification as we look through this review. So when we received this report, we began, and it's only fair that the campus get the opportunity to disseminate this and debrief this prior to release. And so the trustees, you were the first to receive this. Then the executive cabinet reviewed it together as a team. Then we took it to faculty senate. The appropriate supervisors and cabinet members reviewed it with their departments. So Roger reviewed this with the academic deans who reviewed it with their cabinet. And we reviewed it yesterday with district council. So this has been, we believe, nicely vetted across the campus, again, looking at strengths and opportunities across the college. So as we look at the report itself, and if we look to page 2 of the report, this is where the consultants summarized what they saw. And I think some very strong pieces that we need to talk about is that the team left the campus with a firm understanding that the college's greatest strengths is a palatable spirit of grit and determination to succeed as a standalone college. And in the team's view, Gillette College's financial strength, community support, and impressive progress to date are among its greatest strengths. I think from outside observers, they see the hard work that we're doing. And I think you heard some of that today as well. Then when you move on through the report, page 3, you see that each area that the consultants focused on. And again, each of those consultants are trained in different areas and they have different areas of expertise. So they focus on their areas of expertise when they come to visit. These consultants that were here will now not be able to participate in any official review by the Higher Learning Commission. They will have to recuse themselves going forward. Then as you look further into the report, what you see is the federal compliance and assumed practices. Anytime we have an official review by the Higher Learning Commission, we have to do the federal compliance review to be recognized by the U.S. Department of Education. In fact, the department authorizes the accrediting agencies to do the federal compliance review on their behalf. And as you can see, we met federal compliance. And I want to congratulate Rachel Lane. Rachel Lane stood up and learned all about federal compliance in her role as financial aid. And she really did the coordination on bringing the evidence together for federal compliance. Then you move into the assumed practices. Assumed practices are only reviewed at the time of initial accreditation, unless there would be a red flag that the reviewers would want to review again. So once we're into initial accreditation, assumed practices is not reviewed again. Kylie Dotson, again, new in her role as registrar, stood up and stood in and coordinated the assumed practices process. And so again, you see there that we met the assumed practices. Now, we do have some opportunities, and those two staff members have gone through working with Roger Humphrey and Dr. Spriggs to tighten up the evidence and make sure that we're not missing anything that we already have as evidence that we could be sharing. Then you see there the obligations of membership on page 6. Again, no concerns. We do talk about, and Maggie has already addressed that. Of course, on our material, we have to show that our partnership with Sheridan College and the accreditation process. Maggie has addressed that. And then the other piece there as well. So we've addressed both of those things. Then, as you are aware, during the visit, there wasn't just one meeting. There was multiple meetings with multiple faculty and staff. When the official visit happens, I will only meet with the team at the beginning and the end. Anybody who is an executive will not be in any of the meetings. That's just the way it is. You just don't participate in those meetings. But as you're aware, there are multiple sessions that happen throughout the day, not just one. So they go through each one of the sessions and give our strengths and our opportunities and advice. And again, these have been vetted. We've reviewed these. You'll note that on page 7, area of focus was governance. And their response as a strength was this was one of the strongest sessions during the mock visit at Gillette College. We've worked very hard over the last 4 years to ensure that we have a strong participatory governance process. And it's reflected in what these consultants reported. And then again, we just go through, I think one of the pieces, and we have talked with faculty senate, the academic deans have brought this forward too. When you look there with faculty support and development and governance, you'll see some opportunities and advice. One of the things we want to focus on is we want to focus on facts. We don't want to make assumptions. One of the statements that was made was that Sheridan recently decided to discontinue the English major. That's not true. And so we want to make sure that when we're speaking to our visitors, that we're sharing factual information. And so again, the deans and our team are working with our faculty and staff to ensure they have the information they need. So again, just the strengths and opportunities is very helpful as we prepare. On page 13, the consultants gave us some advice on just general etiquette. Here's what you need to do to make sure you're prepared. And there's advice for all of us, right? I think one of the important things is we, as the trustees and the president, have moved together. We have always done things together. And we now, the consultants really feel that the chair should not sit in on those that initial meeting, that entrance visit, because the strength of the CEO needs to show, right? And so that's hard for me because we have done so much work together and this board has been so fantastic and supportive. The other piece is, of course, the professionalism, making sure we have our name tags on, making sure that other people have the opportunity to speak. Then as we move into page 14, this is where we start to see the rankings of the criteria. And if you recall, as we move through the accreditation steps, each step becomes more and more, there's more that we have to prove. And so as we move into candidacy, we have to prove that we have the capacity to meet the criterion for accreditation. So there's 4 criterion. We are under the new criterion. There used to be 5, there's now 4. And we've met all the criteria. 2 are met, 2 are met with concern. In HLC language, met with concern does not meet. So for us, this is an excellent review because we have met all the criteria. There are 18 subcomponents, 17. 18 subcomponents within the criterion. We met 14 of those subcomponents. One of the consultants who was here has been working with the college who it took them 8 years.
Yes.
8 years to get to the point that we're at, that we have gotten to in basically 2. So we're very proud of this work. We're very proud of the work of our team. So mission, criterion 1 mission met. There were no concerns. Again, there's advice there and there's some opportunities for us to tighten evidence up. Teaching and criterion 2 is integrity, ethical, and responsible conduct. That criterion is met with no concerns. So again, opportunities to tighten up some evidence. Criterion 3, teaching and learning for student success. And certainly Dr. Spriggs and Mr. Humphrey will speak more to this. This was the criterion we knew that we would need to focus on. And it's not because of the work of what's happening with the faculty, it's because of the time. So we implemented a new program review process in last spring. 3 programs went through that. Now we have to have the time to build the evidence to show what's happening with those documents. Now, there are some opportunities, again, and Roger and Barry will speak to this, evidence that we have tightened up. This is the criterion that required the most editing and the most work prior to the mock review. Criterion 4, sustainability, institutional effectiveness, research on resources and planning. Again, met with concerns. 2 of the criterion, we have opportunity there to tighten up evidence and really show not only where we began, but where we're going, and to pull the strategic plan all the way through the criterion. And so work that is happening, the goal is to lock down evidence by September 29th. We have to lock it down, but they're finalizing edits this week. And then the rest of the document, again, just goes through and gives us advice and gives us some opportunities for strengthening our arguments before we do the final lockdown. So again, this was a phenomenal opportunity for us. We believe and we know based on the evidence that's been presented, this was a good review. We did very well in this review. So with that being said, I would open up for conversations or any comments that Dr. Spriggs or almost Dr. Humphrey, one of these days, soon we get to say Dr. Humphrey in November when he defends, but doctoral candidate Humphrey is also available to answer questions.
Chair McGrath, trustees. As you know, the mock visit itself that was conducted in August during a professional development week. And based on my decades, when I say decades, good 30 years at higher ed, going through these process of affirmation with institutions that's been in existence for a while, these areas of improvement that the president mentioned, or opportunities really, are things that still exist in institutions that has been established. Time will allow us to really close that loop or continue that spiral really. So the progress that has been made here at this institution surrounding accreditation has been remarkable. Much work has been done to really examine where we were at, where we are now, and where we're going to go. And that's pretty much a theme throughout that string we're going to be pulling through with some of that feedback that we actually received. Additionally, a significant amount of time has been spent in the last few weeks of really clarifying some of our documents, particularly surrounding that strategic plan and really labeling those documents. If you all can recall, back in 2023, you endorsed the framework for those documents. And since then, we've actually grown in regards to what we might consider maturing that particular strategic plan. So we've spent probably the last 2 weeks really saying, okay, this document's this document's that, and label them accordingly. So I think in that particular area of what we consider the subcomponent of 4C, we got a clearer picture whenever people are coming in. Even though we know this information, we're presenting it to other people. And I think that that is one of the things where we had that area met with concerns that is really a task that can be completed pretty simply. In addition, what we're looking to really examine is the analysis of the progress within the strategic plan, specifically surrounding those tactics. And within academic and student affairs, as an example, within the last 2 years, 74% of those tactics that were set forth, and it was like over 100 or something within there, were either in progress or have completed. So that's something that we will be showing that we didn't show during our mock process also. Additionally, as we are going through the next 5 to 6 weeks really, we have established a schedule to really address these areas of opportunities, specifically where we're going to have groups set up. And it's probably 25 hours, honestly. That schedule will come out to the campus community this afternoon as to federal compliance, as to assumed practices, as to the criterion, as to the strategic plan, where we're going to have dialogue. And I think one of the more important things is, even though we've been doing these tasks in order to get where we're going, now we have to talk about it. And we have to have those conversations so that everyone on campus understands those strategic plans, assumed practices, federal compliance, because we've done them in a fashion in order to reach some deadlines, as well as now it's time to start teaching and have everyone else learn. So I'm gonna turn over to Roger, actually, because he's the numbers guy. So he's gonna go through a quantitative aspect of it as to the visit and everything and where we're looking to go in some of these particular areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair McGrath, trustees. When we look at as Dr. Oberlander mentioned, 14 of the 18 core components were met. And so when you look at being a peer reviewer with HLC, is you look at really 3 filters. Is something established? Is it implemented? And then evaluating its effectiveness. And so when we look at policies, procedures, and processes, that's a huge piece when we look at these. And so, first of all, a huge recognition to our faculty and staff. I've been here 14 months, but the work before, it's amazing how fast we've moved. As Dr. Oberlander mentioned, one of our peer reviewers, or one of our mock accreditation reviewers, Dr. Oakes, their college had taken 8 years to get to this point. So first of all, a tremendous amount of work. And so as we really move through these, and the edits is, as Dr. Spriggs said, is really painting the picture, and especially in 3, is around assessment, is framing the system that we operate, which is the Northern Wyoming Community College Assessment and Curriculum System, where we're going, and then what is our plan to implement what we say we're going to do. And so in the edits and revisions, we've spent a lot of time in the ones that you note, 3E, 3G, 4A, and 4C. And it's tightening those up of giving an idea of what is the definitive plan moving forward. So when you look in 3E, what we will really be held accountable moving forward is if we say we're going to analyze institutional outcomes and program outcomes in January, it's collecting that evidence. And then what are we doing with that to drive and inform changes? And so it's that transition into that piece that I said, the effectiveness. Not only are you implementing it, but more importantly, what are you doing with the information and the data to inform planning, curriculum, staffing, all of the very facets that are through the criterion. The math on this is if to meet a criterion, you have to either met with, so I'll take criterion 1. To meet it completely, you have to meet criterion 1A, 1B, 1C. It's an all or none. You have to meet all of the components to meet the criterion. And so we've spent a lot of time the last 4 weeks addressing those 4 components that were met with concerns. We feel comfortable and confident of the edits and revisions and the clarity moving forward. And the mock visit was instrumental to help us look at it. Sometimes when you are so invested in this and so close, you don't see some of the things and you assume everybody understands. It's sort of like my dissertation here in a couple of months. I hope everybody understands what I wrote, but it's articulating that to where someone can come in with no knowledge or understanding and can read those arguments and see that evidence that really present a clear, concise picture of Gillette College. So any questions in terms of that?
Questions for Mr. Humphrey?
That's mind-boggling, what you guys do.
Thank you. And it's a team effort. It's a village that has done this. So a lot of people have been heavily involved. And I know Dr. Oberlander has mentioned this. We've seen tremendous growth in some of our faculty and staff through this process. So thank you for your support.
Chair McGrath, I guess I would add one statement. There was an unfortunate statement made by a former employee that accreditation is administration's accreditation. That's just a false fact. Accreditation is the work of the institution. It requires all of us to be working on accreditation. Not only that, it's legally, statutorily required for Gillette Community College District to become accredited. We have to be accredited to be recognized by the U.S. Department of Education in order to disperse the very important federal financial aid, in order for the veterans to receive their veterans benefits. We also have to have accreditation so our students' credits will transfer. So for somebody to say this is an administration function, they clearly do not understand the accreditation process. And we have a lot of people on this campus that do and who have worked very, very diligently and very, very hard to get to this point today. So I don't want to diminish that. I don't want to diminish the work of our people. We did have the consultants call out several people who just rocked the work during the visit. And I just want to recognize them. These folks are members of steering committees or people who have worked hard. So Brandy Martin, Lindsay Wakefield, who is here today, she was the chair of Criterion 1. Renee Campbell, who was also here, Criterion 4 chair. Kylie Dodson worked on assumed practice. Rachel Lane, federal compliance. Janie Rayback served in multiple capacities. Megan Rourke, she's our assessment coordinator. Jason Olson, Travis Grubb, Jared Vance, Chantel Moore, and other members of the steering committee. These folks just stepped in and continue to do so. And I have no doubt that our visit is going to go very well.
Questions? Thoughts?
Thoughts, Chair McGrath, if I may. I would really like to, extend our deep, deep gratitude and thankfulness to the deans, the directors, all the faculty. And I would suggest that I would like us to issue a letter of acknowledgement and thanks to the campus for this amazing work done thus far, and our belief that it's just going to grow and build. I just would really like to have that tangibly be out there versus just thanking them today publicly. But yeah, there is misinformation that's out there, and I don't want our faculty to feel downtrodden because of that false information, and just our ability to support our campus, our administration, all of our workers here for a job well done and more work to come.
I love that. I will put together a letter and then we can all, put all of our trustees' names on there and just a letter of thank you and acknowledgement for, as you said, letter of acknowledgement and thank you for everybody's work. So questions, thoughts?
I think they deserve a hand at this point.
Excellent, thank you. Moving on to C, approval letter to the news record. Entertain a motion to approve the letter that was sent to the news record.
I move to approve the letter.
Second that.
Moved by trustee Anderson, seconded by trustee Day to approve the letter that was sent to the news record regarding the article the other day. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Will the news record print this article?
Very well.
The committee reports, the finance committee report, trustee Smith and trustee Anderson.
Trustee Smith's going for it.
Trustee Smith.
Thank you, Chairman. This will be really sweet, and then trustee Anderson and Vice President Larson can admit everything I miss. But we met on September 10th, the finance committee with Anna Larson and her staff, and two different investment brokerages that came in and explained what they could do. Under state statute, our money has to be invested in certain places just because we are a government entity. There is WildStar, which is through the state, and now these two have really grown their portfolios to really assist school districts, colleges, government, and other government agencies, special districts. The first one we met with was called Wyoming Class. It's Wyoming Cooperative Liquid Asset Security System. And they've done some other community colleges. They work with the Wyoming County Commission Association. And they're both very similar. That you get about, right now it's 4.2, 4.4% on your investment, but it changes daily and weekly unless you buy a money market through them. But they both have huge amounts of money. They're both very qualified and, and they're very safe. They have to be under state statute. We got to meet with someone from each of the companies and a board member. The Wyoming Class, like I say, they're very similar in how they operate. The other one we met with was Wyoming Government Investment Fund. And actually the superintendent of Campbell County is Kirby Eisenhower. He was the board trustee that zoomed in with us and explained some of the things. And I can defer to Ann a little bit, but a lot of what I got out of it was how you could put money in different places, earmark it for certain things. And this last one, they went to their portal and explained it much better than the other one about how we can get on and monitor our money in and out, no cost, any transactions. They're both that way. They're both the same. It's just gonna take up to Ann to figure out which one's the easiest one. They both need a resolution at some point from our board. And then we'll be approved or disapproved or whatever.
Trustee Anderson, anything to add?
The investments that these companies hold all have maturities of less than 1 year. They're treasury bonds, treasury bills, those kinds of AAA rated, safe, secure investments. They have requirements from the government that they have to have a certain percentage of their money available at any time, so that if you get your money, you can get your money tomorrow. Put in a request today, and depending on what time you get it in, you might get it out this afternoon, otherwise it'll be tomorrow. And so we asked Vice President Larson and Debbie Craig to look at those and see if they prefer one or over another, or do we want to split our money up between them? Both groups have monies invested from Campbell County government, City of Gillette. Campbell County School District is only in that WAGIF, something. But they both look like great opportunities for us to get a little more money, interest on the funds that we hold.
Chair McGrath, if I might add also, the reason we're looking at this is we're finally to a point where we are accumulating some funds. Like through the mill levy that we're getting here, we're sitting on them before we know they're in the budget, they're gonna be spent. But as we also grow the money for the NZ building, it's a place we can invest that money, put it in there, make some interest while we get to the next step of the building. Absolutely. So I think it's a great thing. It's showing growth in our college. So I guess now it's just, we'll meet with Vice President Larson and we'll see which one she thinks is, or maybe both. Maybe you sample both and see which one actually does work. I don't know.
Okay. Question?
Vice President Larson is not here, but Debbie Craig, our controller, is. She's sat in on the meetings as well. She's happy to answer questions. I would believe that you will see presentation or a proposal for approval, probably not October, but likely in November. So you'll see that before the board.
Okay. Questions for Debbie or the Finance Committee? Excellent. Okay. Moving on, Board Education, we've all been waiting. Trustee Anderson. I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Okay. Read that.
I have a PowerPoint that Ellie will get put up for us.
And Trustee Anderson, Debbie is in the room, so if you need her.
Yes. We get those financial statements in every one of our board packets. It's on the consent agenda. And I find that there are lots of times that I'm asking Vice President Larson or Controller Craig, what is this one again? What does that mean? So that's what I'm going to talk about today, is how to decipher those financial statements. Next slide. The Community College District has over 2,000 separate accounts, which are reconciled by the finance office monthly, and they combine into the financial reports that we receive. Because we're a governmental entity, the finance statements follow GASB standards, which is the Governmental Accounting Standards Board rules. Their forms and languages are a little different from the balance sheets and income statements with which most of us are familiar. Next slide. We get two different forms. We get the statements of revenue, expense, and changes in net position. That's like an income statement. It shows the district's operating and non-operating revenues and expenses over a fiscal period, a month. and shows how those items affect its overall position. The statement of net position is similar to a balance sheet and is a comparison of the resources available to provide services and operate the district with its obligations to other organizations and individuals. What we got versus what we owe. Next. In the statements of revenues, expenses, and changes, I'm just gonna run quickly down through what all of those little lists are and kind of tell you what they are. Under operating revenue, campus course revenue, those are tuition and fees. Those get sent to us by NWCCD quarterly. Federal grants and contracts, state and local grants and contracts, those are pretty self-explanatory. Auxiliary enterprises, those are housing, food service, the bookstore, memberships to Area 59. Program revenues, that would be income from the Area 59 classes, which is separate from the memberships, and MSHA classes. Other operating revenue would be testing center, gate receipts, building rentals, those kinds of things. Next. Operating expenses is the next category, and those are primarily salaries, benefits, supplies, and services. Instruction includes faculty salaries, classroom supplies. Institutional research would be Roger Humphrey's office. Academic support is library, tutoring, those kinds of things. Student services, enrollment, counseling, recruitment, advising, athletics. Institutional support includes administration, human resources, business office, IT, risk management. Operations and maintenance of plant, facilities, grounds, maintenance, and custodians. Auxiliary enterprises, Area 59, MSHA, the bookstore, food service, housing. Depreciation is capital asset allocation. So that's depreciating capital assets that are more than $5,000 with a life expectancy over a year. Thank you. Amortization is similar to depreciation, but it's on intangible assets. So if you have a software license that runs for 5 years, you kind of depreciate that, but it's called amortization instead of depreciation. Didn't know that. The next group is non-operating revenues and expenses. Investment income or loss net of fees would be interest on accounts and CDs. Interest expense is not something that we actually pay. It's a GASB requirement, and it reflects the current carrying cost of the future year amortization of subscriptions. So we all understand what that would mean, right? I'm glad Debbie does. The local appropriations, is what we receive from the county mill levy, property taxes, and then also motor vehicle taxes. Other revenues, expenses, gains, losses, donations, it's pretty self-explanatory. Then you do revenue minus expenses to get the income or loss. Then there's a special item area, which would be a large one-time expense or source of income that's not expected to recur in the future. We had one of those last year, I think, when we got buildings from NWCCD, something from NWCCD. And then the net position is just the operating gain or loss plus the non-operating gain or loss plus the special item. Then when we get to the next, we get the GASB stuff. There's deferred inflow and outflow of resources. Those are monies received or expended which relate to a future period. They're not reported as revenues or expenses until that future period arrives. They're not included as assets or liabilities, but they are included in computing the net position. So we have two kinds of deferred inflows and outflows. The first is unavailable property taxes. Those are amounts that we've received during the year, which will be levied and recognized in the subsequent year. And Debbie and Ann have tried very diligently to explain that to me, and this is as close as I can get to understanding what it is. The second is pension-related inflows and outflows. Those are amounts determined annually by the Wyoming retirement system based on an actuarial calculation. And basically, it has to do with what would happen if Wyoming retirement system became insolvent. And we would have to cover retirement costs of our former employees.
Trustees, if you remember in that very first audit we had, our auditors tried to hold us accountable in a finding, and Vice President Larson did her due diligence, and that came off because we didn't have anybody in the pension process yet. We would now, because I will be nearing 5 years, and there's been some changes, but we're now in the calculation anyway. There's a whole lot of calculation that goes into that. So, but this would have been that one the auditors tried to hold us accountable.
Okay, so those go into, next slide, the statement of net position, current assets, cash and cash equivalents, investments, account receivable, know what those mean. Due from other government, net of allowance of $84,000. Those are monies that are owed to us by NWCCD for tuition and fees, minus an agreed upon amount or agreed upon percentage of bad debts incurred by our students that are not collected by NWCCD. Right to receive assets, those are other assets not yet turned over to GCCD. Those are including Tanner Village, High Hall. Once we get those from the city, once that paperwork is done, that'll go away. Chair McGrath.
To Chair or to Trustee Anderson, who agrees on that percentage of bad debt? Do we have an MOU or something that is established for that? Or
If I could answer. Thank you, Chair McGrath, Trustee Wasserberger. The percentage is actually an estimation because every college has a slightly different amount of debt that's not going to be collected from students. So it's based on our historical calculations over our last few years.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that agreed upon every year or?
Yes, it can change every year. And because in subsequent years, we have a higher percentage of bad debt or a lower percentage. So it does get recalculated every year.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Next slide. Prepaid expenses are things like insurance and software subscriptions, which are prepaid annually, and we expense them out monthly. So if we pay a year's worth of insurance, we divide it into 12 and comes off monthly. Property taxes receivable, we sometimes see a negative value there, and we get that when we have received more money than we expected, and that gets adjusted when the county trues up accounts at the end of the fiscal year. So magically go someplace else. There's a lot of magic involved here.
The auditors don't like that word. Let's just not use that word magically.
It's not magic. It's not magic. It is.
Intentional.
It is. Very mathematically sound calculations. Next slide. Capital assets, net of accumulated depreciation, those are buildings, equipment, land valued at more than $5,000 with life expectancy of more than a year. Right to use subscription assets, net of accumulated amortization, those are IT subscriptions obligated over more than 1 year. Usually it's 3 to 5 years. It's things like video conferencing software, campus-wide computer software, and the Ellucian colleague system. Investments held by others, that's the Gillette College Foundation assets. Next slide. And we have accounts payable, that's bills that we have received that we have to pay. Payroll and related liabilities, salaries and benefits. Accrued compensated absences, that's leave that employees have earned in the current year but have not used. Accrued expenses and other liabilities, those are expenses we know that we owe, but we haven't gotten into it yet. And those are often from the food service. Really, they're not real prompt in their billing. Advanced payments, that's unearned property tax. I don't know what unearned property tax is. Current maturities of notes payable, that's what we owe on loans or bonds due in less than a year. Current portion of subscription liabilities, that's what we owe in the current year. Anything over a year is listed in non-current liabilities. And custodial deposits, those are funds that we collect for student groups and BOCES, student activity fees, those kinds of things. Next slide, accrued compensated absences, that's leave that employees have earned and banked in previous years. No payable less current maturities, I think is self-explanatory. Subscription liabilities, those current proportions, that's what we owe in future years for those subscriptions. And the net pension liability is the amount we would be responsible for in the event the Wyoming retirement system becomes insolvent. Then there's a net, next slide, net position calculation. And you can add things and subtract things. Come up with total net position. We budget, next slide, we budget a dollar amount and calculate the mill levy based on the assessor's best estimate of what the county valuation will be at the start of our fiscal year in July. The amount that we collect by the mill levy, can be more or less than the budgeted amount. So we don't really know what it's going to be until we get it. And while mineral taxes are collected monthly, property taxes aren't due until later in the year, which makes some of the income a deferred inflow of resources and some is counted as unavailable property taxes. And the property tax assessment, collection, and reporting is way beyond my ability to explain. So if you want to know more, ask Ann or Debbie. And I want to thank Ann and Debbie, Vice President Larson and Controller Craig, for their assistance in helping me with this and their attempts to explain all the nuances of the complex accounting requirements. Poor Debbie, she would send me something and I would have 3 more questions and email her back and she'd get back to me. And if you want more, the Gillette Community College District Financial and Compliance Report gives a whole lot of information on how the pension-related items are calculated, as well as detailed notes on many of the financial sheet items, and we see that when we see the auditor's report.
And next month, we will go over details of how to do open heart surgery. Because I can't possibly.
I was trying to figure out how I was gonna top that, Jay.
Well done. Any questions for Trustee Anderson?
Please
Man, that was well done.
The auditors are finishing their work and you will hear from the auditors in October for their pre-audit report. So what you just learned will help you understand the audit documents that we'll hear about next month.
The suggestion is that we sort of take kind of this stuff and stick it in that trustee handbook so that it's there, so that every month when you get that little report and you want to go, what on earth is that? You have someplace to go to look, so you don't have to ask Ann and Debbie every month.
Excellent. As we have sat here, I did get an email from Brittany Wilson, the auditor, to meet with her, so it is coming. I will now.
You might want to
better-
take this.
I have a better background. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions for Trustee Anderson? All right, moving on to public comments. Don't see anybody on the list. Is there any public comments?
Trustee McGrath, I would just say what's happening out in the commons is the post-secondary high school tour that's happening on Gillette campus right now. So that's all the recruiters from colleges from across Wyoming and our surrounding states. So feel free to go gather some information.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on, upcoming events, there's dinner tonight, the board dinner, 5 to 6 social hours, 6 to 7:30, prime rib. The October 4th is your your Hall of Fame induction ceremony with your inaugural class. Tickets are on sale through the foundation website. I think the easiest way is to go into the foundation website, click on events. That's what I did. And it is there. So you can buy your individual tickets or your table if you so desire. October 6th, we do have a workshop with the commissioners on the land transfer. I do know we have a couple board members that can't make that, but that's at 3 p.m. in the commissioners' chambers. So I think it could very well be similar to the last workshop that we had right here. Now it'll be at the county, and I think further discussion to be had on the land transfer. Obviously, very big dates, October 27th, 28th. Continue to make yourself available for the HLC candidacy comprehensive visit. I did hear earlier, we should be getting the schedule literally any day, so you can begin to put that out. And November 12th is our board retreat, and we have secured our facilitator. Her name escapes me, I'm sorry.
Dr. Cindy Miles.
Dr. Cindy Miles. We had an initial Zoom call. She was wonderful. We also have Greg Bush there as well. I would be remiss when he came in and discussed crisis management, that there will be a crisis that will happen.
Oh, no.
Well, I mean, it made me think of actually when it happened in Utah Valley, what happened on their campus, and that happening, regardless of how you feel about it or political beliefs. I mean, the fact that somebody comes on campus, that is a crisis that then happens that you then have to react to, and that's exactly what he was talking about and how we react. So he's gonna have some sort of mock situation that we would have to react to and work through. So November 12th is your board retreat, and that is all I have for upcoming events.
Dr. Miles is working to schedule individual conversations, so that should be happening right now. Ellie is coordinating.
Anything else? All right, then I would request a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by trustee Whitten, second by trustee Day. Meeting adjourned.